Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk today about why heartbreak and rejection hit so different for us that are neurodivergent and some things that we can do as someone who has been through a crap ton of stuff just in the last 6 weeks that I can't even begin to articulate how crazy what I've been through in the last like 6 weeks. And not a lot, but some of it had to do with heartbreak and had to do with rejection, in several different factors, like several different genres. But basically, I had to remind myself my brain didn't break. It was doing exactly what it was built to do as a neurodivergent. And, when I'm lying on the floor and I can't eat, drink, answer texts, function as a human being, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I am a broken person, And felt like for a couple weeks that I was never going to feel any better. I just want to be there for whoever comes to this video. Like I said, my last couple videos have been kind of emotional because I've been in this state. And things kind of took a weird dive starting on March 16th. But if you let's say you've gone through a breakup or you've gone through a business that's collapsed, or a client that ghosted you, a rejection email, a loss of a friendship, being stalked and hacked, and having weird things disappear. For most people though, that stings for a few days. For us, like, it can take on a completely different, it's a completely different ballgame. It can take us completely offline, and it did take me off. But nobody really talks about why, right? And so I want to talk about that today. And here's what you need to understand first. Neurodivergence is not just about focus. It's about a nervous system condition, okay? And it's one of the biggest things nobody tells you about being neurodivergent with ADHD is your brain feels emotions more intensely than neurotypical brains. I've talked about this before. I mean, this is written in a lot of books, but I want to keep coming back to this because I had to even remind myself of this when I was going through what I've been going through. And there's a name for this. It's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, okay, which is RSD. It's not drama. It's not being too sensitive. It's a neurological response that can hit you like a freight train, okay? And so when something painful happens, like a breakup, a business failure, a public embarrassment, your nervous system doesn't just log it as a bad day. It registers it as a threat. And that threat, if it feels big enough, your brain does the only thing it knows how to do to protect you, and it just shuts down. Executive function is absolutely gone. Your motivation is gone. I usually post on Instagram. I was trying to do daily. I was doing this challenge, excuse me. And you'll look at my Instagram, and I didn't post for close to a month. I mean, it's just because I was like a shell of a human being. And the ability to do basic things like shower, open your laptop, just gone, It's called emotional dysregulation. And it's one of the most common things that we deal with. And it's the most overlooked thing of being neurodivergent. And so this is where dopamine comes in. Your brain is already running low on dopamine on its baseline. And then the chemical that gives you the motivation, right, which is dopamine, it gives you a sense of reward. The thing that makes you feel like getting up and doing something that actually matters. I was in a situation where I had so much hope for a situation, and it just literally blew up in my face. And it was because there was history with this situation. And so it was like a new hope. And so when it blew up in my face, it was the pain of loss, like 10 times what it was even previously. Because we're already working with less than neurotypical people from the get-go. And so when something painful happens, your heart breaks, your business takes a toll. When someone rejects you, your dopamine crashes even lower. And now you're not just sad, you're chemically unable to access motivation. This is why it feels like you can't get out of bed. Not you won't, you literally can't. And it's not your brain being lazy. Your brain's running on empty and the tank just got like a hole in it, right? So the answer is not just to push harder or think more positive and just get back out there, I'm sorry, I'm going to be kind of like rude here, but I hate when people tell me that, like, just get back up. Like, I've gotten back up so many times in my life, but like after what happened over this last month, it took the wind out of me. Like, it took the life out of me. You have to deliberately, strategically replenish your dopamine, and while being gentle on your nervous system at the same time. Okay. And that's kind of hard to do. So that's what I'm going to talk about next. And because I had to do it. I mean, my area was like a total mess. Like, I couldn't do anything, and I had to just do like one little thing at a time. Just pick up my clothes one day, put my things away in my bathroom. Just like very tiny little steps. Right. So these aren't affirmations. They're not toxic positivity, because I can't stand that either. These are practical things. I'm just making sure my microphone's working, that actually work with your brain, not against it. And so number one is like micro movement. There was just no way I was doing the exercise I was doing previously. No way. So you would just have to move, like, just a little bit. Just walk. Like, even if it's just around your house, even if it's just around your room. Because when you're frozen, the last thing you want to hear from someone is just go for a run, or just go for a 10,000 step walk. Because your body's holding trauma, and staying completely still keeps you locked in. And I will say this, when I just sat there, and I did do that for several days after the biggest crushing thing happened to me, it actually made me worse. It made me so much worse. I was actually suicidal, and I had to move my body to like shake it out. You know what I'm saying? So the goal is like the tiniest movement. Stretch one arm, put your feet on the floor, walk to the window if that's all you can do. Micro movement signals to your nervous system that you're safe and that the threat is not actively happening right now. It also starts a dopamine release, not a flood, but a drip, and a drip is enough to start. So number two is the one thing rule. And so when your executive function is offline, a to-do list is going to absolutely wreck you. So you do not make it to the to-do list, because it's just not going to work. You ask yourself one question: what is the one thing that would make me feel like being a human today? Maybe it's a shower. Maybe it's eating something real. Maybe it's texting back one person. One thing, not 5, not 10, not just one thing. And you want to complete that one thing because your brain needs a hit of dopamine through that accomplishment. Okay. I'm going to just hold this. So I know I just feel like I'm doing this, and I want to do this, but this is like really far away. And I did have one of those arm things, but mine came damaged, of course. And so I don't really use it. I need to get another one though that's actually like works. So, okay. The tiny hit of that thing though is the bridge that gets you back to the next thing. So, number 3 is going to be sunlight and cold water. And I'm serious, your brain is running on a dopamine deficit and a nervous system dysregulation crisis at the same time. So sunlight, even 2 minutes outside, helps regulate your circadian rhythm. I'm very blessed. I live in like the most sunniest state in the country, which is Colorado. And And so I get a lot of sunlight, and I was staying in my house and not going outside. And that was making me so much more depressed and making me so much more frozen in fear, or not fear, but just, just frozen. Like, and so I went outside, and it changed me. So just even 2 minutes outside helps regulate your circadian rhythm and supports serotonin production, which works alongside dopamine. Cold water on your face or a cool shower activates the vagus nerve. That nerve is responsible for calming your fight or flight response, okay? So this is not like a woo-woo, it's just biology, right? You need to use it. Number 4, do not process this alone. I do have a therapist, thank God, but you need to kind of be careful who you choose to talk to depending on the situation, because our brains get stuck in loops during emotional pain, big time. We'll replay the rejection over and over again, the failure, the breakup, on loop for hours, for days, for months, for years at times. But I'm saying, like, when it's fresh like that, we convince ourselves it's getting worse. And it does often get worse before it gets better. But taking it out, what am I trying to say? Like, talking will break the loop. So it's not, but you don't want to just talk to anyone. You want, not to social media. Please don't post on social media. You don't want to talk to someone who's going to amplify your panic. Okay. And I actually, unfortunately, I've had friends that, God bless their soul, they actually made it worse, in the past. And so I'm careful who I talk to. I'm glad I have my therapist. But you want to pick a person that can hold that space, maybe it's a coach. I actually spoke with the lady from my mastermind, and she was a great help to me, and she's also a friend of mine, but she's also been through similar to what I've been through most recently. So, someone who will let you say the thing out loud and then gently redirect you forward. So saying it out loud actually externalizes it. It gets it out of the loop of your head and into reality. And it becomes something that you can actually deal with. Okay. Number 5, because I want to say something real quick, because trauma bypasses the hippocampus in the brain and just sits there, and then it will surface at the worst times. This is true of my sister, who unfortunately took her life in 2010 because she was violently abused by her biological parents, and then she was adopted by our parents, which were amazing people, wouldn't harm a fly, and that trauma surfaced when she was a teenager and caused her to just break down and just continue to break down. And of course, we didn't know back in those days what trauma was and all that stuff that we know now. So anyway, number 5, you want to remind your brain that it survived before. And in this current situation, I've survived it before. And so that's what I had to remind myself of, when you're in freeze mode, your brain literally cannot access the evidence that you are capable. All it can replay is this current trauma. And it's not like a character flaw. You're not a bad person, it's how trauma and dysregulation work. Because I used to think I was just hopeless and I was dysfunctional and I was ridiculous and like no one, other people can get over stuff and I can't, and that's not true. It's just that our brains do truly work differently and have different chemical makeup. A different chemical makeup. Okay, so you need to manually feed your brain that evidence. So you need to write it down on paper. Actually, writing stuff on paper actually connects the brain body. There's a brain body connection to that. But you don't want to write it on your phone. You need to write down 3 times that you survived something hard, and 3 times you thought that you wouldn't make it and you did. And it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be true, right? Because we want to do truth statements. We don't want to do like fake things. Because this gives your prefrontal cortex the rational part of your brain. And it's something to hold on to while the emotional part is in crisis. So here's what I want you to take with you today. The way ADHD hits during emotional pain is not a weakness. It's not a character flaw. You're not a messed up person, okay? it's proof that you're not built for this. It's your nervous system doing the only thing it knows how to do when you're overwhelmed. And so the way is not toughing it out. The way is working with your brain, not against it. Micro movement. One thing, sunlight and cold water, the right conversation, evidence of your own survival. You need to start there. So if this helped you today, if this hit somewhere real, because this is very real of what I've gone through, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Send it out, because this is the real stuff. Because we can sit here and act like, my program, for example, for people to help launch their business, I know it works, but it also, you have to know, there's going to be times where you're derailed, and sometimes actually setting yourself up ahead of time. We can't control everything by any means. We can't even control, if some crazy person hits us or does something to us, but I'm saying it's so important to guard your heart. This is in the scriptures, about things, because we're not meant to handle that. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you've been wanting to go deeper on your nervous system, your emotions, and how they're connected in your business, though, you can check out my link in the description. Otherwise, I just want you to know that you're not broken, you're not behind, you're just in a season that required a shutdown, and now you have to reboot. But this isn't the end of life, even though I literally felt like it was. I literally was just like, I'm done. I'm retired, so I'll make it, but I don't want to move forward in my business. I don't want to move forward in life. I just felt like a zombie. And I realized, I'm going to be emotional right now, but I realized that there's people out there that need what I have, because they need what I've been through and what I've overcome to help them overcome, And we all have our path, we all have our purpose, and we have to try to live that out to the best of our ability. Not that, I don't feel like we can mess up because God is ultimately love, and he always will reconcile us and bring us to the right place. But my point is, we need to work and actually share our life's work with people so that we can help somebody else, get through that hard time, because I completely resonate with you if you're going through what I've been going through. And I'm not willing to share every little thing about what I've been going through, because there's so many factors and things. But in due time, I think I'll be sharing a little bit more about what exactly I've been through. So anyway, I hope to see you guys in the next one, and leave a comment if this resonated with you. If you're not subscribed, it really helps me. I really appreciate that. And if you are interested in my course that teaches you how to launch a business within 60 days or less as a neurodivergent, it gives you step-by-step instructions. Every week is a specific set of tasks that you do. And we do a reversal, from basically a backwards to the front approach, because that's the way our brains work. Excuse me. That is also in the description. And I just did a beta test on a tool that I built. It's a test on how, what type of ADHD entrepreneur you are, what type of texture, or I can't remember what I named the tool. Anyway, I'm gonna drop it below. It's a free tool. It's gonna only give you kind of a smaller description once you take the test. It's 20 questions, takes you a couple minutes. But I'm working on building out a bigger, more in-depth and detailed description to help people for, at no charge, to kind of figure out what type of entrepreneur they are, because that's really important. So anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.